G'day guys and welcome back to episode 46 of the Bradley J. Driver Experience. I'm your host, Bradley J. Driver, but you can call me Brad. You can call me the pilot, the man in charge. Fuck, for all I care, stand atop of the table and say, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," if that sits well with you. But before I announce today's guest, you know what we always talk about is that event that I've got coming up at the end of the year, December 12th, 42 for CF. It's a marathon event that I'm running here in Wollongong for the charity that's very close to both mine and my guest's heart here today. That's cystic fibrosis. So we're raising funds, but more importantly, spreading a message that nothing's impossible, that with a positive outlook on life and a good work ethic, you can achieve anything. So head to the show notes for the link to that fundraising page, or find me on social at Bradley J. Driver, where you'll see plenty of posts and updates. We want to encourage all to share their running efforts to their Instagram stories and their posts, tagging CF Australia and myself with that all-important hashtag 42FORCF. But enough about that, and on to today's guest. Well, he describes himself as a 45-year-old man trapped inside an 18-year-old's body. He's the Aussie TikTok sensation that's taken the app by storm with over 500,000 followers, but you won't see him hitting the renegade. Rather, you'll see the beginnings of a comedic genius, likened to that of a young Chris Lilley for his character-based comedy skits. The future is bright, and he's a fellow cystic fibrosis patient at that too. He's doing amazing things in his life, and ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Mr. Blake Pavey. How are you, brother?
Good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, it's my pleasure. It's exciting, you know. Funnily for me, I always, have these and I book these guests, and I always think back to where I first experienced that person. And for me, I was scrolling through TikTok one day and this lad strolls on the screen, dressed up, button up, jeans, the belt on, pair of Asics. And man, you just hit me with this absolute cracker. It was like the perfect impersonation of a dad. And I was like, fuck, this guy's really funny. I started following you. And then it was probably 3 or 4 months in that I realized you had cystic fibrosis as well, which made me even more intrigued, to see someone who's been through a similar life to myself and to see how well you're doing and how good you look. So, mate, credit to you. Where did it all begin?
Pretty much it took me about 3-4 months of convincing to actually get the app. I was one of the blokes who usually just bagged the shit out of everyone who had TikTok in the first place. But then in sort of like December time, that's when I started actually posting videos to the app. So one of them blew up, and then just started riding the wave and just been doing it ever since then. So it's been about nearly a year since I've actually had the app. So yeah, it's just gone crazy over the past year.
So talk to me about, obviously to do what you do. And, I think there's a lot of people that follow this guy. I know I've had a lot of conversations in the past couple of days saying that you're coming on, and heaps of people are like, yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, I follow him. Yeah, I know what he's doing. So I think you're pretty well known, especially here in Oz, because I think it is really Aussie style humor.
Yeah.
But, I'd like to think, or I'd think I'd be correct in assuming that you've always had that sort of funny side to you. I think that's a pretty, not the sort of thing you develop. You're kind of born with that sense of humor. But where did you decide to start actually making content out of this and go, okay, this is something I want to pursue?
Yeah, well, it sort of started, I don't really know how it started. I think it just really came about from just trying to make my mates laugh, like just posting shit on TikTok and then, trying to show your mates at school for a bit of a laugh. But I think I just got lucky and hit the good algorithm one day, and now I've got about 500,000 mates that are trying to make laugh. But yeah, ever since then, I've just been trying to do it and just riding the wave, and I've never had really any goals set for it until like very recently. But now that a few doors have opened, now I'm going to start probably thinking about it more as sort of a career in that form. But yeah, it's really just came out of just trying to make my mates laugh and all that sort of stuff.
You said it there in your answer. You mentioned school. For most people listening to this, I'd go, fuck, this guy's young. Well, you're 18 years of age, right?
Yeah.
So super young. And it's crazy because to get the exposure you've got at this age is insane. But I guess that's what we've seen out of TikTok, right? We've seen, anyone from probably like 12-year-olds through to, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds that are having success on this app, being themselves and creating. You know, you do it very differently, which is what I like. I think it's really easy these days to follow a trend. Like we said before, you know, do a renegade, hit a woe, and all of a sudden you got fucking followers falling out of your hat and bloody likes everywhere. But I think for you to do something that's really original, it takes some balls, because you're going to cop obviously positive and negative criticism. What's that been like at a young age?
I've been pretty lucky. I've escaped the the rabbit hole of getting a lot of hate comments, luckily. But yeah, most, like 99.9% of the time, the comments are pretty positive. The only time I really cop any flack at all is when I'm doing my COVID videos, and it's all the Americans getting mad at me, calling me a dickhead and all that sort of stuff, and just hurling abuse at me. But at the same time, those are the ones that you kind of can have a giggle at, and can kind of take any sort of sense of humor out of it. But yeah, I don't really give a shit about the hate comments, because I know that they're just like a lot more of a sadder person than I am. And at the end of the day, like everyone else is pretty much 100% supportive towards me. So yeah, it's just, you just got to ignore it. That's the main thing.
That's awesome to hear, brother. So when you first started doing this, I know you hear a lot of people, there's some people on the app that have taken off almost instantaneously with their first one or two posts, and that goes viral and crazy, and then everything from there is a hit. Then you've got the others that have, one viral sensation, then never again. And I know it's almost for those people, you hear, it's like they're chasing that, and they can never seem to get it back. How did that happen for you? Was it instantaneous and then just followed on from there?
Well, it was a bit of both, really. I got the app, and then I posted one shitty video, and then the second ever video I posted, it was it wasn't like a sketch or anything. It was set to like one of the sounds you use on the app, and it started going off I posted that one in about September time, and it went off, and it got about 800,000 views or something like that. And then after that, it took me about another couple of months for the next video to go off, and that was the first sort of dad video I did. So I posted that one, and it went well, and then it was a good wait till the next one. But I never really had any aspirations to chase another viral video. Again, I was just trying to make my mates laugh.
Yeah, awesome. And obviously you're influenced by your old man.
Yeah,
To start
100%.
making those videos. And I think we can all relate. Like, we've all got, everyone's dad has probably put on a pair of New Balance or Asics at some point, jogged up and down the store to test them out before they buy, try before you buy, as they say. They've all got that typical banter, or they come into the room. And I love the ones where you walk into the room and you sit down on the bed and put your hand out. I reckon that's great. It's bang on, man. It's so true. Where does the inspiration for this come from? Is it just everything within your life?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, all the characters I do come from, different spots. Obviously, the dad characters, very closely based on my dad, and all of the shit that I've seen him do, and some of his mates do as well. But the other characters, like the girls, are just based off, girls at my school, but just dialed up to 11 and all that sort of stuff. And then the rest of them come from, a whole range of places. It could be like people in my town, or people I've seen on TV, and all that sort of stuff. So I just steal from anywhere and see what I can make out of it.
You're pretty close to your family, right?
Yeah, always.
They obviously see all this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think it took them a bit of getting used to, but now they're on the train with me. They love it. I always catch Dad watching my TikToks, on repeat and stuff like that. So it's good.
That's awesome. What are the kids at school like? Your mates and your peers? Obviously, some would go, "Fuck, is that character based off me?"
Yeah, yeah. No, it's my mates at school. They've always been pretty chill about it. They sort of been with me this whole time that I've been on the app. So they don't really give a shit, but they still think it's cool. So it's good to have people who can just keep you on the ground and all that sort of stuff. Definitely. And yeah, the rest of the school community I go to, they've been pretty chill about it as well. So I've got no complaints there, thank God. But if I was a bloody renegade type guy, I think it'd be a bit different. But yeah, it's basically just my humor that I have at school is what I put on the app. So they don't really see much difference from me. So I don't think anyone really gives a shit.
Have you always been a really outgoing character?
Not really. Probably Probably in primary school, I wasn't. I was a bit shyer in primary school and all that sort of stuff. But when I hit about year 9 or something, that's when I really started to just like stop giving a shit and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, sort of. I've never really been too outgoing, like in class and all that sort of stuff. But I've just always been that person who just wants to have a laugh and doesn't really take anything too seriously. So I guess I've always just been that sort of class clown type person.
Do you think that comes from just maturity? Like as you get older, you start to get more comfortable with who you are and you're not sort of as scared to voice that?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's just like a lot of comfortability, like with mates and stuff. Like when you get into high school, you really just start to seal in like who your real mates are and who you can really just find yourself comfortable with. So once the banter gets rolling, it doesn't really stop. But yeah, that's where it mainly comes from.
Talk to me about, obviously, we're just talking then, close to doing your HSC, or you're in the process of?
Yeah, I've just finished my trials. I'll start my actual exams in about 20 days or something like that.
If you can't tell, I didn't go to year 12, so I'm not sure of the timing, but obviously before that you have career goals and things you want to achieve. Then this takes off. And we've seen around the world this change the lives of, young people, people of all ages, but especially young people through that sort of high school, college or university period where you've got career goals and sort of things you're working towards. Maybe a little bit of success online changes that, or doesn't necessarily change it, but just moves you in a new direction. What's that been like for you, and what were those goals pre-TikTok and now post?
Well, I guess it was pretty much always wanted to get in sort of the film and television industry, but sort of always wanted to go behind camera and all that sort of stuff, like writing and directing and all that sort of stuff. And I guess like with not really with the TikToks I make, but more when I post like YouTube content, it's good to get that sort of like behind camera and on camera experience. So that's pretty much what I've been enjoying out of that mostly. But yeah, after TikTok, it's basically just been just ride the wave and see what really comes to me. I don't really focus too much on the long-term goals because obviously with COVID and stuff, nothing's guaranteed anymore. But yeah, I just feel like if you focus on short-term goals, it makes everything a lot more exciting, and you never know what you're going to get. So I just try to focus on that and see what comes to me, and just keep cruising along and see where everything goes.
Have you ever heard of Joe Damon, Kiwi comedian?
It rings a bell. I can't say I've seen too much of his stuff, but it rings a bell.
Mate, he's a really fucking funny human. So I found him on TikTok as well, right at the start of the Aussie isolation period when NZ was in their shutdown. And he come on the show. He's been on twice, and I've created a really good friendship with him. But he's a guy who I think in sort of the Kiwi aspect, you have differences in terms of you're very Aussie, he's very Kiwi culture. But you kind of remind me of a younger version of him, like making the skits, the characters. He does very similar. I can see you going and doing stand-up. Has that been something you thought of?
Yeah, definitely. If I wanted to do anything outside of social media, that's probably the stuff that I'd probably look towards, sort of like near future sort of time frame. But yeah, just more like professional stuff outside of social media, like stand up and live shows and all that sort of stuff. So, and I've always grown up just watching, like really good Aussie comedians like Carl Barron and all that sort of stuff. So I just want to do anything like them. That'd be pretty sweet, I reckon.
Talk to me about the business side of things. I watched one of your YouTube videos this morning, actually. You done a Q&A, and I was just trying to get a bit more info on you before we jumped in here behind the mic. And one of the questions that from what it sounded like was really common, or probably the most common thing you get, is the business side of TikTok and how much money's made. We see the Addison Rays and the Charlie D'Amelios at their youthful ages driving around in brand new cars and buying houses and doing all this crazy shit. But it's not the reality for everyone, is it?
Nah, I'm just driving around a shitty Toyota Camry, but nah, there's no way to actually make like and monetize your TikTok over here in Australia. Obviously, in America, they have like a creative fund or something where you can get money off views, but nah, there's no way to make actual money off my content really so far. But at the same time, it's so early days that I don't really worry about that sort of stuff. So you get a cheeky brand deal here and there, but yeah, I just, I take them as they come, but I'm not really too focused on the money at the moment. But that is the question I get the most: how much do I make?
Do you get belted by managers that want to pick you up to do certain things? And is that common?
It was common early days, but I have picked up a really good team at the moment who've been working with me the last couple of months, and they've been super supportive, and they've just been really guiding me along the process and really helping me out. But yeah, at the start I had a few come to me, but I just have trouble taking advice off people who like don't really know the field and they haven't really had much
Yeah.
experience in the stuff that I've been doing. I get a bit hesitant taking advice off them, but the team that have come to me and that I've now signed on with, they're like they're young people. So that's good to know that they actually know the space and they know how things work in this new environment. So yeah, I'm more than happy with them.
How do you feel that this platform, and you just said it there, young people that are managing you on that side of things, I think this platform's seen young people gain extreme influence. How do you see that changing everything? Business, social space, advertising. Like we're starting to see like 12-year-old kids that are rolling out ads for products.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't really know. Really, I'm sort of clueless when it comes to the business side. That's why I love having managers. They can kind of just guide me through the process. But yeah, I've really just got no clue. Things seem to change on a dime, especially on TikTok. There's a new campaign or a new ad coming out pretty much every 2 days. So yeah, I just see a lot of change coming very frequently. That's probably all I can say about that.
Yeah, definitely. And do you feel any pressure to create consistently? Is that something you struggle with, or does it just more naturally come to you?
Yeah, those are obviously like the fears you have when you run and dry for a bit for content for like a span of time. But I just try to stay as consistent as I can, and I think the main concern for me now is just getting more consistent on YouTube and growing that channel, because you can actually start to monetize that stuff once it starts to go get a bit bigger. But yeah, I think I just try to post pretty much every 2-3 days max, and post at least one thing on every piece of social media I have, at least in like a time frame of like 1 and 2 days pretty much. So just to keep people knowing that you're still there and still around and about. But yeah, I've heard from other people who haven't posted in a while that they can lose their following quite quick. So yeah, that's probably just the main thing that stays in the back of my head, that I just want to keep my following up and keep the loyal supporters that I've gained over the time, like keeping coming back to my stuff.
Definitely. Talk to us about life off TikTok. You're obviously I guess you're a typical bloody Aussie bloke. Like, love, by the sounds of it, love a drink, love being around your mates, love a laugh, love your footy, AFL that is. I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah.
Being from a little further down south, I'm more of an NRL guy myself, but I've got a lot of mates that are right into their AFL. Talk to me about life. Who is Blake Pavey off the screen?
Well, I've pretty much been a local boy my whole life. I'm the only person in my family who's been living in where we're living at the moment for their whole life. All of my family, except for me, is from like originally from Melbourne. But yeah, I've just basically just lived that basic Aussie teen life pretty much. Just go to school, play footy with your mates, and then obviously, have a few drinks. And all that sort of stuff. But there's not really much to know. I just love going to the pub with mates. That's about it at the moment.
Talk to me about your earlier years. Obviously, we mentioned it at the start of the show, and one of the reasons we've connected over the probably last couple of days, week, is cystic fibrosis. And, you were born with the same condition that I have. And whilst it has its many differences and different outcomes in certain aspects of your life, I don't drink because I've got liver disease.
Yeah.
So that's not a good idea for me. But you sound like you keep really on top of it and you look really healthy. So how's that all been?
Yeah, no, well, I've been like you said, I've been one of the pretty much one of the really, really lucky ones. I've never been into the hospital for an extended time for anything CF related for like pretty much my whole life. The only time I've had to go in for like more than about a week's time is when I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis related diabetes, and that was basically just like a learning week, basically learning how everything works with that. But yeah, I've been super lucky with everything, and just like been touching wood basically this whole time. So me and my mother's philosophy is just if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. So we've just been trying to cruise along pretty much this whole time. But yeah, I think the main thing is just like keeping in mind that somebody's always got it worse than you, and if you can keep a sense of humor about things, like there's no real point letting it control you. And yeah, that's what I've pretty much been saying the past couple of years. Like, I can't control it, so there's no real point letting it control me. So that's basically my life with CF.
Definitely. I love that, man. I love that mantra. It's, one thing that I've always said is, man, especially because of this marathon, it's been even more present. The amount of people that have reached out to me, family members of people who have passed on with CF, or people with CF who are struggling and sort of finding some sort of inspiration and motivation to get active and to get healthy. It makes you really pinch yourself and realize how lucky you are and how blessed you are just to have a healthy, able body with this condition. You're obviously quite sporty, you love your footy. Were you pretty active growing up?
I guess I wasn't really active during primary school. I'd rather play the PlayStation and all that sort of stuff. But as you hit high school, you start playing a bit more footy and running around with mates. On my end, I probably didn't do it with much skill. I was probably centre half bench the whole time. But yeah, no, I've been really lucky again. I've just always been able to keep up with mates during sport. I know a lot of kids with CF can't really, keep up a lot of the time, but that's just what I've really been most grateful for, is I've been able to at least do everything like everyone else. And that's all I've really been hoping for.
Yeah, and you said CF diabetes too. Was that about 13, 12 years of age?
Yeah, it would have been about 13, 14. Yeah, I think it was about 2016. Yeah, it was October 2016. I'm just coming on 4 years now, yeah.
Is that, for you, was it very borderline, or was it more serious?
Yeah, it was pretty borderline. Luckily, they the doctors did say if I didn't have cystic fibrosis, I wouldn't count as diabetic either. So yeah, I've been really lucky in that regard, and I've sort of just been able to keep it at bay and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, you just got to stay on top of it 24/7, and you're sweet to go.
Because I had the same thing, man. I had exactly the same as you. Probably, I think I was 13. I was diagnosed with the diabetes. I took insulin for about 6.5 years, and probably not far off where you are now, about 18, 19. I just didn't need it anymore. I think once you sort of get out of that heavy growth period of puberty, your body doesn't need as much insulin. And
Yeah.
for me, I didn't have to take it anymore. I just control my diet pretty well now. A couple of cakes and donuts here and there, but just I just keep it pretty steady, and then I don't have to take insulin anymore. So it's the body's a funny thing, man, especially with
Yeah.
CF. Sometimes you go, how the fuck does this work? But it just does.
Yeah, exactly. No, hopefully I'll be like, I won't be able to, have to take it in a couple of years, but I'm sick of doing the bloody jab. That's the worst bit about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just really try to, keep my feet on the ground and just realize that compared to a lot of other people, I'm very, very lucky.
Definitely. Hey, talk to me sort of post school once it's all finished up. I think I've heard you say before your ATAR may be a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
May do a Houdini on you and go missing. But what are your plans? Do you want to go to university? Do you want to study further in the film TV industry? Or do you think you'll take an alternate route?
Yeah, well, I'm just weighing up my options really. I think the main goal is to just move out. That's the thing I want to do most. Just get that experience, in Melbourne or something. Just move out of the country town that I've been in for the past 18 years. But yeah, probably uni is the best way to go about that. So I'm just applying for like film and television courses at RMIT, Swinburne, all that sort of stuff, and then with this whole bloody TikTok stuff, a lot of people have been telling me to try give acting a go. So I've been applying for a few of those courses as well to try boost up the resume in terms of that. But yeah, we'll just see how we go, and I'll probably accept an offer if I get an offer up in Melbourne. But yeah, if not, I'll just try find a job, make a bit of moolah, and yeah, just keep cruising along.
Where in Melbourne would you like to be? Like, what part of the city?
Yeah, good question. I've got a few roommates that I'm looking that we're always looking on online for spots with, but pretty much maybe like Carlton, Collingwood, Hawthorn type areas, like sort of
Yeah.
like outer, like not outer suburbs, but like not in the city, not
Yeah.
out of the
Like
city,
30
just
minute
kind of
drive.
in that good little spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Elwood, man. Fuck, it's a good spot.
Yeah, no, I have heard good things about Elwood.
You know, and it was cheap too, man. I reckon I was the poorest bloke in the whole suburb. I think I paid like $345 a week in rent for this little
Yeah.
2-bedroom apartment. Man, it was tidy as, and it's such a nice spot. Like this, the suburbs of Melbourne are gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah, no, they've all. I had a brother move out a couple of years ago who was looking for spots, and when we were looking, all the spots looked bloody good. So,
Yeah.
hopefully, I can get somewhere close to there.
I can imagine there's a lot of opportunity to collaborate with more people in the social space when you're there. I've seen
Yeah.
you've done maybe one or two you've caught up. Was there some sort of like Aussie hype house style thing they were trying to create at one stage?
Oh, yeah,
And I
yeah.
seen
No,
the thumbnail. Yeah.
I was led to believe that was just like a party slash piss up sort of thing. As soon as I like left that night, I was like, they're gonna try and make this a fucking hype house. And then the next day, they were posting stuff about a hype house. And I was like, oh shit. And then people would make videos about it online, just roasting the shit out of us. And there was a couple of videos online that were like, start a petition to end the Aussie hype house. And me and this other bloke that were there, we both were commenting on them like shit, like how do we fucking sign, mate, and all that type of
Who was
stuff. We're
that?
just like, me and this other bloke called Stefan Gerard. He does like funny videos as well, and he's an absolute
Yeah.
legend. But we're just not built for that hype house sort of environment.
Yeah. How is like obviously because when you're a creator on one of these apps and you're having success, everyone wants to be a mate, right? And that's
Yeah,
within that successful TikTok space. You know, I've seen you seem to be pretty close with Liam Dowling.
yeah,
He's doing really well. It seems like you've kind of found your niche in that sort of comedic sort of skit and character based sort of sector. There are a couple of guys that are doing that and you guys all collaborate and chat and you've all got very different styles, which is good.
yeah. Yeah, no, they've been really good. Probably Liam's the one I've been talking to the most. He started TikTok a little bit later than me, and when he was at less than 10K followers, and he chucked me a message asking like what sort of stuff he should try to do on TikTok. So I just tried to like help him out the best I can and give him some good advice. And yeah, he's really just blown up, and I'm super proud of what he's been able to do, because he's really talented, and he's just like really funny in terms of like that Aussie sort of humor and character work and all that sort of stuff. So I can see him doing really good shit in the future. But yeah, there's so many people on TikTok now that are just doing really good shit, and like again finding their niches and all that sort of stuff, and just they're all a bunch of really talented people. So it's a good community we got going.
To be honest, I've seen the videos on YouTube and I've seen, the D'Amelios, the Addison Rays walking out of a restaurant in LA and there's paparazzi there asking them every question under the sun. When you walk outside to the car, to the Camry in Wodonga, how many paparazzi stop you?
I have to say, there's not many. When I go out in Albury or Wodonga, I'll have about maybe 3 or 4 people come up to me asking who I am, asking if it's actually me or not. But probably the closest I've got to it is coming out of a club in bloody Melbourne. I was at Flamingos and we just came out, and then about a group of 10 girls, I walked around the corner and I saw them, and they saw me and they just started screaming, and I was like, oh well, this is fucking weird. But no, that was pretty much the first time I'd ever had a like fan interaction, so it was very weird the first time it happened. But
Do
yeah,
you know
it's
what, mate?
really weird when that shit happens. It's weird to know that like people actually know you
Yeah.
outside of your mates.
I tell you what, 10 screaming girls is better than 10 screaming lads asking for a photo.
Yeah.
Mate. So ride
Yeah,
that wave
exactly.
while you can, brother. Talk to me about future. Have you ever thought, I can imagine you get it all the time about that move overseas. It's obviously still a lot of opportunity here in Oz. And I think maybe the Aussie market's even bigger than we realize with social now. You don't need to be overseas. But have you thought about that? COVID's probably not helping, but is that a future plan, potentially explore options in, in LA, New York, somewhere like that?
Yeah, probably. I've thought about it. I've always wanted to, take a good extended run over there. Like just living there, like a couple of years ago, I was like, that'd be really cool to just experience, and all that sort of stuff. But I guess in terms of social media and doing stuff online, I guess there's not really that need for being somewhere else, because right now you can basically do anything from anywhere. But in terms of doing that more professional stuff like stand up and acting and all that sort of stuff, I'd love to go over to, LA or New York, or even over in Europe. Europe has a really good film and television industry. So yeah, more professional stuff like that. I'd love to go overseas, and experience, because the Aussie film and television market probably isn't as high standing as those other places.
Yeah.
But again, just taking everything by year and seeing what comes.
Definitely. Now, you just mentioned a second ago you had, early days Liam Dowling come to you for some advice. I can imagine you get creators all the time now that want your 2 cents worth. And, one thing I love about you and the way that you create is I can see it's very much yourself. It's you just being you. And I think that's what makes any creator great at what they do and the content they produce. But do you have some sort of tip, or, say, for example, you got one young lad or one young girl that wants to create a social following and do what they love? Is there any opportunity that you see people not taking?
Well, I'm not too sure. Again, I just really lucked into this sort of thing and fell into it. But whenever someone comes to me, I just pretty much tell them the same thing: is just like, have fun with it. There's no real point just like really thinking about the content you're making and really think about like, oh, will this go viral, or will this, get these sorts of numbers? Because like most of the time, the stuff that comes out organically and comes like very naturally, especially for like comedy content, those are the videos that do like probably the best in my opinion and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just have fun with it, because if the audience is going to tell if you're having fun shooting something and making something, and that'll translate, and that really just boosts the likelihood of them pushing like or pushing follow or making a comment or something like that. So yeah, just have fun with it. That's my my main piece of advice.
I think it's a really good way to end off, mate. I really appreciate your time, you coming on the show. Mate, I'm going to continue to follow the journey. I absolutely love everything you're posting, and you are genuinely a downright good, funny Aussie lad. And it's just good to see you having some success, mate, and looking after your health and taking off. So I give you all the congratulations in the world and wish you all the best of luck in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, where can they find Mr. Blake Pavey on Instagram?
Well, you can find me at just at Blake Pavey. Pretty simple. So go chuck me a follow, chuck me a DM, whatever you want to do, and yeah, we'll be sweet to go.
Unreal. Blake, you're a legend. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Too easy, mate. Thanks for having me on.
So